thought that he could easily overpower me crossed my mind. But I get so nervous whenever men yell or cuss at me because my dad was never the type to yell or cuss. I took the card out of his hand and he slammed his cell phone on the scanner. I was trying not to let him know I was nervous, but I was terrified. I knew that I had never put minutes on a prepaid phone before, but I don't dare tell him that in fear of what he might do. So I read the directions, pick up his phone, dial the numbers, and as I'm putting in the card number, his phone is out of minutes. I try to call back, and I get an error message. I'm at a loss. I meekly hand him his phone back and say, "I'm sorry, something went wrong. I don't know what's happening." As soon as I say it, he takes his phone, opens it up, tries to dial someone, and when it doesn't work, he looks at me with furious eyes. He screams, "What the fuck did you do to my phone? What the fuck?" His voice is echoing in the store, and unfortunately, we haven't gotten the end of second shift rush yet, so there's no one around. He closes his phone and opens it again, trying to get another call, but when it doesn't work, he throws the phone down on the scanner again. He says, "I don't know what you did to my phone, but you better fucking fix it." But this comes much more quietly, practically a whisper. At this point, I'm worried he's going to put his hands on me, and I don't know what to do. I put in a call for CSM for my register, and then say, "I've called someone that might be able to help, but we're at shift change right now, so it might be faster for you to take it to customer service." He picks up his phone off the podium, still mumbling under his breath that I fucked up his phone, and I'm hoping I can get out of there before he comes back, at least have someone else down the self-checkout with me. Another 15 minutes goes by, and I don't see him again. As I'm picking up items that people left by the registers, getting ready to shut them down for the night, he comes back and stands by the podium. He still looks completely pissed off, and my stomach sank. He made that finger motion that means "come here" without saying anything, and for some reason, that makes me even more nervous. When I'm standing in front of him, he leans so close to my face, I think he's about to kiss me or bite me or God knows what. I try to take a step back, but he takes a step forward when I do. A creepy grin comes across his face, and he says, "The girl up there fixed it. Simple fix, but next time, I expect you to know what to do. Understand?" I nod because I don't think I can speak. He gets impossibly close before saying, "I'm sorry I raised my voice. I should never have done that, especially to a pretty girl like you." When he does that last part, he lightly uses his fingertips to brush my bangs to the side. I took a step back and he said, "Let me make it up to you. Let me buy you a drink." I shake my head and say, "No thank you, I'm only 19. He says, "So we'll get a couple of beers and go back to my place." Again, I shake my head. "No, really, it's okay. I'm not much of a drinker. I have an early morning tomorrow." He looks displeased with this answer and says, "Tell you what, I'll wait over here by the door just in case you change your mind." I smile at him weakly and tell him to have a good night. When I see him walk through the security things, I quickly shut down the registers and sign out of mine. Then I run over to find the CSM to tell about the whole thing. The third shift CSM that I told looks at me like I'm lying, and when I'm frustrated, he says, "I know," insert man's name, "he wouldn't hurt a fly. He doesn't have it in him. You're just being dramatic." She then turns to another older cashier behind her, shakes her head and mumbles, "Teenagers." I ask if I can have someone to walk me to my car, and they tell me that management is in a meeting and the security guy went home already. So I clocked out and went to the bathroom. Waited in the bathroom for about 10 minutes before coming out and attempting to go to my car. When I walked around the corner of the security things, he wasn't sitting on the bench right there like I'd been expecting. I relaxed a little before I realized he was standing outside the door, far enough away to keep it from closing, smoking a cigarette. He has his back turned to the door, though. Luckily, I never went out the front doors. I always went down the corridor out the side door. I quietly closed the door behind me, so maybe I would catch his attention. I rushed to my car, which was fortunately very close to the building. As I'm quick walking to my car, I hear him shout, "Hey, why are you avoiding me? Come here." At this point, I take off into a full-on sprint, which is not easy because I'm wearing Sperry's, so it's like running in clogs. I get to my car, get in, lock the doors, and as I'm starting it, and don't even bother with the seatbelt, by that point, he had made it almost all the way to my car and was still yelling, telling me he just wanted to talk. I took off as fast as I could and took the longest way home with the most turns and twists that I could. When I got home, I told my dad about the experience, and he was so angry that no one had answered my calls or believed me. He called the store manager the next day and complained. I was never contacted about his complaint, but from that night on, Whenever I saw that guy, I would run into the bathroom, or if I couldn't get away, I would put out my laying clothes sign and turn off my light so he couldn't get in my line. You always hear people talking about the people at Walmart as being trashy, but they never tell you that a select few are actually scary as hell.
Number 3. First time poster, not really long time viewer, you get the drill. I've never told this story to anyone except my brother, but I guess the whole event was blown over by now. Back in 2009, I lived in the greater Cleveland, Ohio area. I was really into this card game called Yu-Gi-Oh!, which was also an anime TV show. It's your standard fighting slash deck building card game, but that's beside the point. I used to go to Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournaments with my older brother at a local game shop, and there were a fair share of odd people. Most of the people who went weekly had nicknames because that's what it was like on the TV show. My brother got the nickname Igloo because he played a penguin deck and he was super pale, and I always wanted a nickname. One time I went to the tournament with my brother, I played this guy whose nickname was the Mermaid. The Mermaid was relatively short, heavyset, and usually very quiet. From the moment we started the first game, I knew he was strange. He kept telling me how good I was at the game, how he liked my dice set, just generally weird things unrelated to the game. I lost the first game, and he was pretty pleased with himself for beating a 13-year-old, but I wasn't gonna whine about it. The second game, I absolutely crushed him, and he seemed pretty pissed. Right before we started the third game, things got uncomfortable. How about we make a wager or something? He talked very quietly as he held my hand in a very tight grip. You mean for cards? I replied, breaking free from his hand. If I win, I'll drive you home, he spoke softly. And if you win, I'll buy you a booster pack. I wasn't a stupid kid, and there was no way I was going to get into a stranger's car. And besides, I lived 3 blocks away. Before I could say anything, the owner of the store came over to our game and asked him what he was doing. The mermaid went silent. The owner whispered in my ear, if he gives you any more trouble, come to me, I'll kick him out for good. I won the third game, thus kicking him out of the tournament. He left right after the game, and he was gone. I asked the owner why he was called a mermaid. Oh, his first name is Ariel, like in The Little Mermaid. It started as a joke, but it just sort of turned into a name. I thought nothing of it until May 2013, when 3 girls escaped the house of the Cleveland man who had been keeping them in captivity for years. His name was Ariel Castro, and I could have been the next. Number 4. Our middle school always fascinated my friends and I. It was the perfect place for late-night nonsense and visually reconstructing old lost memories of innocence and discovery. Who am I kidding? We just loved to dick around in longboards on the steadily declining concrete. The school is made from the outdoors. We also fairly enjoyed climbing on the window ledges onto the 40-foot tall rooftop where a secured section of generators rested. This was our main hideout during after hours, and one we imagined would keep us safe in the event of a zombie apocalypse. The school itself was gated, although we could easily climb over it and begin our mischief. Our group of about 5 bro friends and I were seniors in high school at the time, and on New Year's Eve we decided it would be really noteworthy to camp out on top of the middle school roof during their winter shutdown. There would be no security, and no risk of getting caught while resting in the section of the generators that was blocked by shorter walls. We even thought that drinking to our heart's goddamn content would surely fasten us for the 2014 New Year. It was set to happen. We planned out what we were going to bring, where we were going to set up our sleeping bags, the whole 9. Everything was going to work out, and honestly, I was just excited that this was how the overall shitty year was going to end, with my bros and drunk out of our minds on top of our old Point West Middle School. We probably looked like a bunch of tools walking along the side street of our school's entrance, what with all our camping gear, bags, and flashlights. Keep in mind, this was somewhat of a bourgeoisie town or city, so there was no area in sight where we looked like we fit in. It was alright though, as there weren't many cars on the road, because pretty much everyone was partying. Getting on the roof of the large library building was always a bit tricky though, as the ledges made violent clank-clank noises as we stepped on them. We had to help pull each other up and throw our baggage as hard as we could to overcome the initial 15-foot structure. Once everything was on top, we went to action. We dropped the bags, climbed over another shorter structure to the generator area, and dumped all of our items into a pile. No organizing inside, no box. But things looked as it was, and our group decided that we would get more organized with where everyone was sleeping when it was appropriate. We all helped each other down from the roof, and half of us split up to get a few bottles of alcohol. The rest of us just chilled at the nearby park outside the gates on the east side of the campus. Yes, campus. This school was pretty huge. Turns out my friend Ronald had his own stash of Sky, so we pre-gamed for this time being. Moments went by, and the other half of our group returned with said delightful beverages, and we were ready to fucking rage. On top of the roof, that is. Good idea? Probably not, but we were naive and wanted this to be a night we would most certainly forget. Stupidity ensued, and we backpacked those motherfucking 40s and climbed onto the generator barrier structure that we had just before dumped all of our items. This is when shit goes down. To our discovery, our sleeping bags, snacks, and Bear Grylls knows what else were not simply dumped into a pile, but rather stacked very neatly over the 5-foot generators themselves. The sleeping bags in particular were folded and zipped up, all of them. Nothing was stolen, as far as we knew, and we did double check. Our group began to freak the fuck out. We simply resorted to blaming each other for pulling something like this, and demanded that one of us claim to be the best prankster of 2013 right before midnight. Sadly, all of our stories checked out, and they should have. First off, we have to help each other get up and down. Not one of us could simply get up on the roof by ourselves, except for Sean, who has had a lot of practice doing so, I may add. But he was with us while the rest were securing the alcohol. Plus, the loud clank-clank noises could have been most definitely been heard from the quiet park we were at for only 15 minutes or so. We ruled out security, we ruled out cops. They wouldn't have climbed onto the roof and folded that shit. It had to be a creep. We boarded the nope train to fuck that villa and rushed all of our shit off the roof. Our naivety got the better of us, and we decided that the roof of the lunch building would be more safe. Clank clank. Fuck, we definitely felt the presence. Sean had been here a million times at night, and by himself. He practices parkour and longboarding, and not once have I seen him with that shit-your-pants series of expressions until this moment. Our group unanimously agreed to just call the whole thing off and go to the nearby park to drink and then go home. Needless to say, that's exactly what we did. We got pretty shit-faced, congratulated each other on a new year, and began to stumble home. But I remembered the split second that I had left my own longboard on the wall of the lunch building before we sped out. I couldn't say no. I was hammered and fucking brave. I think I pretty much forgot that moments before we had encountered quite a small spook that forced us to leave. I told my group that I'd simply grab my board and sail home, and they were like on the loud for me. It was all me now, with blood tunnel vision and attempting to climb the large gates again. My goal was just to get in there and get out. I ran, or wobbled, our way to the outside of the lunch building. It wasn't fucking there. You always look so graceful on your board. I jolted out of pure fright in that moment and looked at who I recalled to be a 40-year-old, bald and normal-looking man holding a board, who slowly but surely was walking towards me. Again, keep in mind that I was smash bros out of my mind, and what could have been minutes of him walking slowly to me turned into seconds. A big fan. I come here every night to watch you. So graceful. He was talking about Sean. He thought I was Sean. I clearly remember the man saying that he planned to rape and murder Sean, or me in this case, because he had a feeling I would be there because of Sean had enough middle school activities. He claimed he was disappointed that there was more of us, but it was nothing he couldn't handle. He said at least I came back for him. No. Fuck no. Trash to me did not hesitate and immediately ran up to him and socked him right in the face. A knife fell out and I quietly grabbed it and sprinted out. I have to be honest with you guys and tell you that it was at this point I don't remember much of what happened. I woke up the next morning with a pounding headache, badly scraped knuckle, and in Sean's house. He claimed that I pounded on his window and cried that I was almost killed and such. I told him as much as I could about the man's plans, and mixed up between Sean and me. Sean may or may not want to tell this side of the story. We'll see. We were very hesitant to get police involved because just being on the campus during those hours were grounds for serious consequences. It was decided that we would call in a descriptive anonymous tip and spend the next couple of days, of course, if the police weren't there, to also go with our full group to see if that creep was expecting us. No word on anything, and we believe he'll never come back, but that isn't stopping Sean from never going again. Number 5. Sorry about any pacing issues. I've been writing this on and off for a couple of days during breaks between classes, so I haven't kept it very consistent. So I'm a 16-year-old boy. I live in the mountains in a nice area, but go to school in kind of a creepy part of town. It takes like an hour and a half every day to get home walking and using my area's train system. Every Friday, I take the train with some of my friends, then walk home with two of them, brother and sister, and then walk back to the station and take a train back to the other station where my train meets back up with the train my friends take. One Friday about 2 weeks ago, we took a later train than usual because our school bus got stuck in traffic on the way to the train station that drops the students off at, making us miss our train. We're kind of a rowdy group. There's 6 of us at the beginning of the train ride, and we all get off about an hour after we get on over the course of about 30 stops. On that day, there was 5 of us though, because one of the girls, Jenny, got suspended for getting in a fight, even though she didn't start it or throw the first punch. My friend Jake was talking about how stupid it was that she got suspended. Of course, he said fuck about 4 times a sentence while talking about it. He was still talking about it by the time we were getting to the stations where our group gets off, but he cooled off quite a bit. We were on the last car of the train on the back, sitting in a group of 4 seats. The extra, my friend Alice, Jake's sister, was sitting on my lap. There was a guy standing by us glaring at Jake. As the group starts thinning out, Jake stops talking, and at our stop, it's just me, Jake, Alice, and Guy and Jake. When we get to the station, Guy yells some Bible quote at us and walks to the other end of the platform. While we're walking to Jake and Alice's place, we talk about various things, but we keep returning to the topic of the guy and the quote he yelled at us. I can't remember the quote for the life of me right now. About a block away from their house, the guy's half a block behind us and yells the quote again. We don't know where he came from because none of us can remember him being behind us before, but we shake it off and tell him to fuck off. When we got to their house, I stuck around for a bit and helped Alice finish her homework and then helped their mom make dinner and eat with them. After a while, we forgot about the dude and their dad drove me to the train station and I went home. Last week we had really heavy snow and I had to walk home with it. After dropping my friend off at home, I didn't stick around this time though. Just train ride, walk to their house, walk back to the station, and then ride the train and switch to a different train, then transfer to a bus. It's a lot of transfers, but it's my usual Friday night trip. Halfway through my walk home from getting off the bus, I realized the guy who got off the bus with me was still behind me, which is unusual, but not too strange. Most people in my area have biggest friends that don't walk as far as I do. I tripped a few blocks earlier than I usually do, and this guy was still behind me. I was still thinking it's totally possible this guy's just going home and it's just a coincidence, but I make another turn away from my house a few blocks later, just to be sure. Out of nowhere, the dude grabbed the back of my jacket and slammed me down to the sidewalk and then pinned me down. He started yelling at me and telling me that me and my friends are sinners and we're gonna go to hell and shit like that. And then he pulled a knife out of his coat pocket and told me I was gonna die as a message to the other filthy sinners like me. Luckily, the old man who lives in the house we were in front of came out just then and told me to get the fuck off me and that he called the cops. The dude got off me and ran away, and the cops got there a few minutes later, but they haven't found the guy. Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you enjoyed the video. Over the next couple weeks I've got a few collaboration videos coming out, which I'm stoked about, so keep your eyes peeled for those. And as usual, like, comment, share, subscribe, whatever you gotta do. Much appreciated. But yeah, that's it for me. Hope you have a good day.
Number 3. Deep web is one of the most amazing things on Earth. Not because of how delightful it makes people or anything, but because it's a completely uncensored view of people. You can speak your mind, buy what you want, do what you want. When you deep web, you have complete and total freedom. I'd always been fascinated by the deep web, and at the time these events occurred, I was in college. Lots of people at my campus had been really getting into accessing the deep web. It was almost like a trend. With so many people getting on it, it seemed perfectly safe for me to give it a try. Now, I always heard the horror stories from the deep web, stories of hacking, stumbling on disgusting sites, and people even somehow finding your address. These stories were mainly what kept me off the deep web. With most people at my college using it on a normal basis, I decided to give it a go. I asked my friend to come over and help me set it up. When my friend arrived, I opened up the laptop and began setting everything up. He told me that we were using Tor, a program that lets you access the deep web. He asked me if I was planning on doing anything illegal, to which I replied, no. He said that since I wasn't, we didn't need to install Tails, which is apparently a software that makes it more secure if you plan on doing illegal things. A little while later,
everything was set up. I had my new IP address, and my friend gave me a brief rundown of what to do and what not. I made it very clear that when I was using the hidden wiki, that I kept it on censored mode, so that I'd be less likely to see something I didn't want to. After about 2 weeks of using the deep web, I felt like a pro. I had accessed many different sites, spoken with some great people, made friends, even bought some weed. I had become cocky and was ready to dig deeper into the dark web. I turned off the censored mode on the hidden wiki and began to browse the links. It took a while, mostly because Tor is a bit slow, and many of the links led to dead web pages. Eventually, I stumbled onto a site out of the gore. It was mainly a big chat room with many different topics. I had a fairly strong stomach. I had seen many violent movies and had seen beheadings, killings, etc. even normal. After looking at a few different chat rooms, I noticed how sick the site actually was. The people in this chat room were actual killers, bragging about some of the things they had done. In the chat room, you could also post pictures. One man, by the name of Culture045, had this stage in one of the chat rooms. He was explaining in detail how he had broken into someone's house, kidnapped a little girl, and brutally killed her parents by hiding under the bed and then opening their throats. He then explained how he brought the little girl back to his house, raped her, beat her, and cut her up. I didn't think he was telling the truth at first, but then he posted pictures. They were the most horrifying pictures I had ever seen. Close-up of this poor 8-10-year-old girl being brutally raped, beaten, and cut with a knife. Culture kept posting pictures. The new ones were of the girl tied to a chair, bleeding, crying, throwing up, etc. Then he showed a picture of him with a drill, drilling into her skull. The most haunting part is that while he was doing it, he was looking right at the camera, sheer joy on his face. I had seen enough, and I typed in the chat room window, "You people are sick and deserve to die. How can you sleep at night?" Immediately, people began making fun of me, saying that I was just as helpless as that little girl in the picture, and that I should get off the big boy part of the internet. They began saying I was a pussy and calling me an empath. When Culture typed something in the chat box, he said, "Really? Where do you live, buddy? I'm sure everyone would love to see you up on this site." I then made the biggest mistake of my life and typed, "I'm calling the police and having the site shut down." Less than a minute later, everything on the site went black, and a new chat box appeared in green. In it, someone named Admin1 typed in the box. He said, "Call the cops and you'll regret it." I didn't type anything in the box, but reached for my cell phone. What happened next haunts me to this day. My phone said I had a new message. I opened it and it said, "Call the police and you're dead." There was no number. It didn't even say unknown number. It was just blank. I looked at my laptop and saw my webcam light turn on. I quickly covered it and saw on the screen a picture of me looking at my phone. I got wide-eyed and froze for a moment. When the admin typed again, "Put the phone down right now and uncover your webcam." I put the phone down, but kept the webcam covered. When he typed again, "Okay, then, be like that." Right after, he posted my full name, age, and address in the chat box and typed, "It would be a shame if you and your college buddies went missing, wouldn't it?" He said. I did as he said and uncovered my webcam. He then told me to follow the instructions of how to make it impossible for me to reach the site again. I followed each and every one. When I finished, I got a text saying, "Now don't ever try and come back." Just like before, it had no number. I still called the police from my friend's phone, but they were never able to find the site. If you ever go on the deep web, don't ever just mindlessly explore, especially if you don't have additional software to keep you more secure. I was a stupid college kid, and I just hope no one makes the same mistakes I did. I moved to a different home and changed all my information, but I still get nightmares to this day. Number 2. I took a picture on my old webcam, and there was a black humanoid-looking figure standing behind me. It absolutely scared the shit out of me. Some other strange occurrences have happened since. I have a black cat, and I was walking into the room, and then I saw it morph into a shadow of a human in one of the bedrooms. I went in, and the cat wasn't even in there. The weirdest, which I don't know to this point if it was real or not, is once I went downstairs, and all the cabinets were wide open, and the front door was open also. I was home alone. Number 1. It started when I got my Ouija board. I never read the rules. My friends would teach a shit, so I did it alone. I talked to 2 people that day by myself. One was a little boy named Tim, who was disowned by his parents and died in the forest. the other presence was much darker, and for 2 questions I asked, it would reply, death, which was not a valid answer. I got angry with the second